Am I the idiot for yelling at my brother and asking him to have some freaking empathy towards me? My life hasn't been going that great recently. I left my husband 2 months ago, and I've been miserable since. I left him because I had a crush on another man, and that made me question our entire relationship and myself too. I started dating my husband when I was 17, and I fell in love with his kindness. He was my first boyfriend ever, and he showed me care I'd never received from a man before. Long story short, I left him after almost 10 years of being together because I started questioning why I'd fallen in love with him. I had an emotionally abusive father growing up, and I never went to therapy or tried to process that. I just tucked it away and got married to a man who was the complete opposite of him and a people pleaser. Upon leaving my husband, I moved back in with my mother. My father is dead now, and my little brother. Now, I hate my life and miss my husband terribly. I have to commute 3 hours a day to work, and my mother and brother are much more difficult roommates than my husband was. My brother, especially, is frustrated by my presence and constantly picks fights. Yesterday, he was yelling at me through the door about taking too long in the bathroom, and I told him to calm down and not be such an idiot. He asked when I'd finally move out because I'm always in the way and told me I was an idiot for leaving my husband, and I should go and beg him to take me back, but he probably won't because I'm impossible to live with. I snapped and yelled at him, asking him to have some freaking empathy for me. I'm going through a hard time and I really don't need him to be such an idiot to me. He replied that it's not his problem. I created this situation for myself, and it's not fair that he has to suffer the consequences of my actions too, and I don't deserve his empathy. He is right that it's all my fault. I created this situation, and I only have myself to blame. Am I the idiot for yelling at him? Edit for info. My brother is 22, and his problem is basically just me being there. Not that I'm messy or loud, just that I'm present. He likes to send our mother away for the night to her boyfriend when he wants to have company over, and it really bothers him that he can't really send me away like that. Also, I didn't leave my husband for the other guy. I stopped talking to that man as soon as I realized I had a crush. More info can be found in my comments about this. Not the idiot. It sounds like your bro might have taken a few pages out of your father's book, and they ain't pretty. Everyone has huge introspective moments in their marriage at some point. Figure yourself out. Do you want to go back to your husband? It might be too late, but maybe not. Make up your mind where you want to go from here, even if it's in baby steps, like getting an apartment to get away from Toxic Junior. You're the idiot. Are you joking? Everything not great about your life right now is all your own doing. If I all of a sudden had to share my bathroom because my sister decided to leave her husband without having a plan for what happens after, I'd be pissed too. Who's the idiot? Him or his brother? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for naming my second son Junior and making my other son jealous? I, a 38-year-old male, recently had my third child, Junior, who is my second with my current wife, Jenny, 29. My first son, Ben, 13, is from my previous relationship with my first wife, Kim, 39. When Kim and I first found out that she was pregnant, I told her that if we had a son, I wanted his first name to be after my father, and his middle name to be my maternal grandfather's surname, effectively making him a type of Junior. And if we had a girl, I would go along with whatever she decided. Kim was hesitant at first, but after I explained how important this was to me, Kim agreed to name him with the understanding that our next child, regardless of gender, Kim would have full control over the first and middle name. I thought we were good until after the sonogram confirmed that we were definitely having a boy. And then Kim decided that she no longer agreed to the name and wanted to change it. I didn't hide how upset I was that Kim was going back on her word. She threw in my face the fact that she was the one who was carrying the baby, which I felt was a low blow. Neither one of us was willing to budge. I really started to resent that Kim not only was going back on her word, but also crying to her family, who then berated me for stressing out a pregnant woman, and telling me that I just needed to be grateful for a healthy baby instead of being fixated on the name. When I came home from work, I couldn't find Kim, and since she was supposed to be on bed rest, I got worried and tried calling her. She didn't pick up, so I tried calling and even driving around to find her, but no one picked up or was there. I panicked for about 16 hours until I finally got a call from Kim's mom saying that she was in the hospital and just gave birth to Ben about an hour ago. I was shocked, and after meeting my son and making sure that there were no complications, I became enraged. I missed the birth of my son, and no one called me until after my son's name was on the birth certificate. Our marriage didn't recover, and we divorced, and I was painted as the petty, irrational, and selfish one for ending a marriage over a name. Fast forward to now, and Jenny has given birth to twins, Junior and Alyssa, and we gave our son the name that I had originally wanted for Ben, while Jenny had free rein to name our daughter whatever she wanted. We posted pics of our babies 3 weeks later, and Jenny made a heartfelt post about how each name was significant to us. Ben saw the post, and I guess he was a little upset at how meaningful and familial his brother's name was because he asked me why I didn't give him that name. I simply shrugged and told him that I did want to initially name him that, but it didn't work out. Now Kim is upset with me, saying that I am purposefully being cruel, and how Ben now feels less compared to my brother, and that I shouldn't have named my new son what I did since I couldn't get my way the first time. I told Kim to fuck off, but given our tense history, I have to ask, am I the idiot? ETA. Because a few people have asked, Kim and I both share 50-50 custody. Established and enforced by the courts. No, Ben doesn't know all the details surrounding his name. He just knows that his mom picked out his name, and we divorced because we were too young and immature. I could tell him the truth, but it would honestly be my word against his mom's, and I know her mom and sister, the people who were actually in the birthing room, would lie for her. So I'm just letting it be for now. I wanted my son to have my father's first name because when I was around 13, both my parents were in a car accident, and my dad didn't survive. I wanted my son to have my grandfather's surname because he helped raise me after my dad was gone. Technically, my second isn't a junior, but is at the same time. I have no intention of actually calling him that, but if he wants to be referred that way once he's older, I will. Again, my way of compromising was that I get to name our first child, and then she could name the next regardless of gender. Not the idiot. Just explain to Ben that his mother was the one who'd chosen his name. You don't have to go into animosity over it. Tell and continue to show all three and any future children that they are all equally special to you. Sounds like your ex likes to stir the drama. Poor Ben for being in the middle. Everyone sucks here. You were unwilling to compromise on a name and effectively forced your choice on X. She went way overboard to ensure you didn't get to use the name for your older son. Both Oz. I think you're a little bit bigger and out here though, because your unwillingness to compromise initiated the whole thing. For using the name for your younger son though, not an ad there, so long as the second wife actually was okay with it, rather than badgered until she gave in. What to tell Ben? Your mom didn't like Junior and picked your name herself. You're the idiot, not for naming your son whatever, but for entitlement. Why should you be the first to name the kid? Why should any of you name the kids' names the other one doesn't like? Is he wrong for choosing his son's name? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for refusing to pay to deep clean someone's shoes? Yesterday I went to a spa, and there was a shoe area out front. I had a pair of old white sneakers on, and when I left, I slipped them on another white pair next to mine, thinking it was my pair in a hurry to get home. That afternoon, I got a call from the spa, who had the client whose shoes I had taken. They said they were happy to grab them off me directly, and I gave them my number to contact. That night, clients messaged me, saying how I've inconvenienced them and how they had to buy new shoes for that night and how they want to deep clean their shoes. Keep in mind, they are quite worn out already. They've told me I owe them $60 for the service, and that they want me to pay them and drop off the shoes to the spa as SAP. I refuse to pay for the clean as the shoes are already worn out, and it seems like they're looking for a free clean. I only wore their shoes back home and left them there, so I highly doubt I've infected them somehow. Am I the idiot for dropping off the shoes and then ignoring all of their texts for money? You're the idiot. If you put your feet in someone else's shoes, they need to be cleaned. And if you stole their shoes, they didn't sneak them onto your feet so they get cleaned. That's just ridiculous. Not the idiot. Some people are so dramatic. There are bigger issues in the world than someone accidentally taking your shoes, for frick's sake. This is a block them and move on situation. No idiots here. You didn't mean to take their shoes. It was an honest mistake. But you also can't blame them for wanting their shoes deep cleaned. Some people are very particular about that sort of thing. Either way, you're the cause of this mess, so you're responsible for resolving it. If you can find a place to clean them for less than $60, offer to pay to have them cleaned at that place. If not, pay them the $60. Should he have cleaned the shoes? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for not forcing my daughter to talk to her mom? My ex and I have a 14-year-old daughter together. We didn't go to court and decided to just agree on some custody schedule. We live in 2 different countries, so our agreement is that my daughter lives with me and visits her mom once a year every summer. My daughter's phone is always on silent, and she never sees when someone is calling. So my ex always calls me when she wants to talk to my daughter. Recently, my daughter has started not answering. For example, whenever I see my ex's name on my phone, I tell my daughter her mom is calling, and she says something like tell her I'm not home or tell her I'm taking a bath. Last night my ex called again. I wasn't paying attention, so I answered the phone without telling my daughter that her mom is calling. After I answered, I yelled and told her. My daughter, who didn't know I had already answered, yelled back and told her I'm out with my friends. Well, my ex heard it, and she was furious. She called me an idiot and started screaming at me, asking me how many times I had lied to her. I told her to stop screaming, and it's not my fault that my daughter doesn't enjoy talking to her, and she should think about what she had done to cause this instead of blaming me. She kept screaming and calling me different names, so I hung up the phone. Everyone sucks here. You're totally right that it's not your fault that your daughter doesn't want to talk to her mom. And your ex was a real jerk for yelling and calling names. But if you found out your daughter and your ex were working in tandem to avoid talking to you, it wouldn't feel good either. Unless there's some kind of abuse dynamic, you're setting a lousy example for your daughter and being mean to your co-parent for no apparent reason. Not the idiot. I don't force my 13-year-old to speak to his father, who has been a part-time dad at best. Your daughter owes her mother nothing. You're the idiot. Do not teach your daughter to lie, especially to her mother. You are allowing your daughter to use you against her mother. This is all very ugly. Should she have made her talk? Let me know in the comments. Now am I the idiot for getting annoyed about my friend's late-night snack, even though I'm crashing at her place? Essentially, I'm between apartments right now, and so I'm crashing at my friend's apartment until I can move into this new one. I've known them both since high school year 7. We are now in our 3rd year of uni, and they offered to let me crash at theirs rather than go to a hotel/Airbnb, or simply move back home for the 2 weeks. Their apartment is close to my work, so I am definitely very grateful to them. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm staying on their sofa bed in the main room of their apartment. Essentially, one of my temporary roommates, let's call her Jess, comes home from work at 1 a.m. She does not normally work at night, so this is a rare occasion. She opens the front door, which wakes me up, so I roll over and sleepily wave to her. Jess asks if she can turn on the light for a sec, and I say of course. She turns on the lights, and I retreat under my covers to try and save my sleepiness. I figure she'll have the lights on for maybe 5 minutes. Just FYI, I am completely fine and happy with everything so far. So she then grabs some cheese and crackers from the fridge, and then proceeds to sit down and eat them. I was a little baffled because I'm clearly trying to sleep, but figure I did let her turn the lights on. Plus, she is doing me a favor letting me crash at theirs, so I don't say anything. She then proceeds to eat these incredibly slowly while scrolling on her phone. It takes her a little over 30 minutes. The sofa bed is genuinely maybe a meter from the dining table, so I'm laying there, head under the covers, tossing and turning every now and then, all while I can hear her mouth noises and her giggling at her phone. I knew she was a slow eater. I knew she was a noisy eater. But I figure it's 1 a.m. and I am clearly trying to sleep. Why would you not just eat in your room? Or at least eat faster? Technically, why did you even need the room lights on? If the roles were reversed, I probably would have used my flashlight on my phone and then headed to my room. But I was trying to be considerate because it's her apartment. Finally, she gets up after 30 minutes, and she turns off the light after refilling her filtered water jug. So now I'm laying in the dark with the sound of dripping water as the jug filters the water. I'm typing this only a few minutes after this happened, and I doubt I'll say anything to her, but I genuinely can't sleep. Partially because of being woken up, but largely because I can't stop thinking about it. Was that not kind of rude and inconsiderate? Or am I crazy? It's not a big deal or friendship ending, but I'm genuinely curious as to whether I'm the only one who would never do something like that. Am I the idiot? Edit. Y'all, to clarify, I am truly not that annoyed. Simply a little confused, as in my mind, I just act differently when I have guests in my home. Definitely can see how ITA, though. That's kind of the reason I thought of posting this. I get that not everyone behaves or thinks the same as me, and is curious about different perspectives. It's sort of a reversed treat others how you'd want to be treated. I think I just assume other people would behave the same way I would in a situation which I know is a little unreasonable. They wake me up all the time in the early morning when leaving for work, etc., but that's completely understandable. I was more baffled by the 1 a.m. thing. Edit 2. Also, I'll just reiterate these are 2 of my closest friends. We've known each other for almost a decade. I'm not that annoyed, and I truly don't think they're thinking I've overstayed my welcome. Of course, I help out with the grocery bills, the house chores, and I'm paying my part of this fortnight's utility bills. But the post wasn't supposed to be about that. I was simply trying to pull how people treat guests in their home because it got me curious. So while it is appreciated just now, I truly don't need any input on the state of my friendship with these girls. You're the idiot. It sounds like she works late hours, and you probably knew this before staying. When you wake up in the morning, you're probably making noise too. Wear an eye mask and earplugs. Not the idiot. Whatever happened to treating guests like guests? Yes, it's their house, and yes, they're doing you a favor, but eating in a public space at 1 a.m. when someone is trying to sleep when you also have a private space to go back to is just shitty. Coming home is fine, so is grabbing a snack and turning the light on. Continuing to keep the light on and make noise at that time of night is rude regardless of whose property it is.